Welcome to Engaging with Monique, a podcast where you can find inspiration and hear from people who are engaging with the world in exciting and inspiring ways. Let's jump right in with Monique.
Hi, I'm Dr. Monique Henderson here with Engaging with Monique, a program designed to inspire and challenge you to make your world better and find meaning in your daily life. Today, I'm so excited to have with me Mr. James Renfroe. And we're going to talk about a few things today, but first thing I want to do is kind of just let you know a little bit about what I think I know about James, and then he's going to talk about himself as well. But I got to know James primarily through church. We've worshiped at the same place and also through some work with his law business. And so I'm sure he'll talk a little bit about that today. But James, just to kind of start out, tell us, what's it like to be you in this season? How are you spending your time?
Well, the season of my life, my kids are all grown. We're empty nesters, me and my wife. So it's about really work and family. We have a grandson. We have more on the way. We did, yeah. And I have a very large law practice, and we close homes. We deal with wills and estates. And ironically, I actually teach pickleball too.
Yes. Which is to me one of the most exciting things. Yeah. And James, I was lucky enough to have you guys support me as I was dealing with my parents' estate after losing both my parents in about a 14-month period. And so that's something that you don't think about until you need it. And then I think for my parents, the idea was that, oh, well, we don't really have a ton. We're not millionaires. You're an only child. It'll be really clear and we don't need a lawyer. And that turned out to be quite wrong. So I was really appreciative of your services at that time. Is that something a lot of people think? Is that a common?
It's actually I even did it with myself. Matter of fact, years and years ago, I actually was married before, and I had my first wife passed away. And right before she passed away, we actually did the appropriate documents, wills, things of that nature. And thank God, because I was basically a beautician with a bad haircut. Because we did that, we were able to, she didn't have hardly anything. We didn't. I was a young lawyer. We were struggling. But unbeknownst to us, there was actually a life insurance policy through her bank. And because we were able to do the appropriate paperwork, I was able to use that money to pay for a funeral.
Right.
And we didn't even know about it. She didn't know about it. We were young, with very little money.
Yeah. So I think it's neat that you get to use law to help people in tough times. That's pretty cool. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but talk a little bit about how you're making the world better these days. You're a little part of the world. What does that look like for you?
Well, one of the things that I'm proud to do is we actually close a lot of residential transactions. So probably a large majority of my customers are first-time home buyers. The beauty of being a first-time home buyer, and what most people don't realize, is the number one ways to change your family tree, to get people out of poverty, is actually home ownership. Home ownership really transforms not just lives, family trees. We always have a saying in my firm that we don't close houses, we close homes. Because once you have a centralized home and a home for families, then you have a central place where kids can learn, families can come together, a resting place.
Right.
A resting place at the end of a stressful day, something that you know that it's yours. And after that, all said and done, at the end of the day, it's yours.
Yeah. That was definitely true for my parents. I'm sitting here thinking about the role that our realtors and our different closing folks played in my parents' life. So my father, he was obsessed with finances, right? Every morning and every night, he would add up his bills for the month and then the amount that he had coming in from his different retirement checks. And it wasn't a lot. I mean, he really didn't have a lot. And by the end, I think he had a power bill and a gas bill. But he still was every morning and every night. And I'd be like, Daddy, it hadn't changed since yesterday, but you'd see him in there, and I've got notes. And something that came to light near the very end of his life was that he had a lot of moves as a child, and I never understood them. I guess I never really bothered to understand them. I was like, oh, I guess they just moved over here and then they moved over here. Well, they were moving because they were staying with different people and different relatives based on their economic situation. So that is why my dad was so obsessive about owning a home. And I remember when he paid that thing off. And so, yeah, you're right. That definitely tracks with me too.
One of the things you were mentioning earlier about seasons of life, where you're getting your seasons of life. Seasons of life for me is your whole life as it grows. In other words, your past experiences, your family experiences affect where you're going to be at that station in life. Using your example, for instance, my grandfather, a product of depression, having lost everything, when he passed away, which was in the 70s, He had bank accounts all over town and almost every bank in the city of Baton Rouge.
Oh, gosh.
And the reason why he did that is because he was worried about losing his money.
Right.
Because he went through the Great Depression.
Right.
My parents, for instance, my mother's still alive, and I lost my father. My father was a minister, and we didn't have a whole lot of money. But one of the things that they were did is we had to have they had to have everything paid off.
Yes.
Everything has to be paid off.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And
I got a credit card at 20 because I had no credit history, or 21. And I couldn't even tell my mother because she would have just been like, oh no, this is the beginning of the end for you. You know, I'm like, I just need a credit history. So I had to rent an apartment without you signing for it.
Those are all valid points, and they're valid points even by my parents. But there are also a lot more things to do because, for instance, by paying everything off, my parents didn't know to save a lot either.
Right.
And so because of that, their seasons of life changed as we grew. And luckily, God was able to help us and look out for us, and my parents were okay. For me, I actually had different mentors in my life.
Right.
When I first started practicing, I was lucky enough to practice with a gentleman by the name of Roy Perilou, who was a business savvy guy, really business savvy. And one of the first things he did, even though I didn't have any money and I was still paying large student loans and things of that nature, he encouraged me to save and put things into retirement. So literally, I started having a retirement at like 27 years old.
Yeah.
And now I'm 55, and thank God I did.
Yeah.
It's paid off. It hopefully will pay off when I do retire.
Yeah. You're not going to retire.
Probably not. Probably not. These are all things that make who you are. The fact that I went through a wife that had cancer, that's what makes who I am. The fact that I had a young daughter that I had to raise, that makes me who I am. The fact that I met a wonderful woman afterwards, and who later on we had to go through certain things with her, and hence we have a service dog, and who's a wonderful dog, and I have a wonderful wife, and I was able to raise wonderful daughters through that. And these are all things that change me. One of the things that I do in my practice that I try to value and remember is when we do something early on in practice, a young lawyer will just look at it as making money or moving a case along or whatever it may be.
Which is understandable because money is important too.
It is.
We got to pay those bills.
It is very important. And especially when you don't have any.
Yeah.
But one of the things I try to remember is everybody that comes to see me, whether they're buying a house, doing a will, or whatever it may be, it's probably the most important thing they're doing that time in their life.
Yeah.
And though it may be just another person to me that I'm just going to run them through, I try to remember these people are scared. They're nervous. And it's my job to make them feel safe. It's my job to do the best job I can do to ensure that their house is protected, ensure their estate is protected, ensure their family's protected.
Yeah.
And, I'm human. It may not always be working, but it's still my burden and job to try my best in everything I do. And that's how I live my life, is I try to remember it's important to them. My father, being a minister, one time told me that very few professions can you do that you can help people and still make a living.
Right. Oh,
God,
gosh.
God bless me with one.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud of what I do. Ironically, most lawyers burn out. It is very stressful and very time consuming. But if you remember that person coming to you and remember that person you're looking in their eyes, and that's the most important thing that they're doing today, and their heart may be broken. They may be nervous. There's a thing I do in my loan closings on first time home buyers. I go through some of the important documents, but usually, the documents are about 300 pages thick, So I pull the most important ones first, and I get to a certain point, usually after they sign the note and with the obligation debt and things of that nature. And I look at them and I smile, and I say, "Are you nervous?"
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. Most of them, yes, they never lie. By the way, they always say, "Yes, I'm nervous."
Yeah.
And then I'll say, "Take a deep breath and smile, and give me a high five because you just bought your first house."
Yeah.
And we have tissues on our closing table because we have first-time homeowners are not necessarily in their 20s.
Especially now.
Especially now. I have many people that may be in their 60s, and they thought they never could find a home, and we've gotten it for them.
Wow.
And you see these people cry. And matter of fact, one time I had one come in, and the husband was there signing, and he had his family there. It was all the kids, and I did what I just told you I did. I says, "Congratulations on the house." And he smiled and looked at the kids and the family. He says, "You just thought we were coming here to meet a lawyer.
Oh.
You have a home."
Wow.
And they all started crying.
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me cry. I can relate to that a little bit too with selling my childhood home. It did not value at what I wanted it to be honest, due to the location and a few other things. It didn't go for very much. And on one hand, that was tough to stomach that my family home that was so important to me wasn't worth more. But then we got to close with this guy who an affordable home
Right.
makes a home for someone that really needs one. It was really, I say it was vintage turnkey. It was very much not current, but you could move in. It was safe and clean and ready to move in. And so we got to interact with this first time home buyer who was thrilled, and he got 3 garages out of it and had all these hobbies that he was going to do in the garage. It was an acre of land. And I ended up going from being a little bit bummed that what my parents worked so hard for wasn't worth more to just being really happy that because it was affordable, it created an opportunity for somebody that needed it. So that was kind of a
But
challenging way to look at it.
that's very common though.
Mhm.
People come to see me sometimes during bankruptcies, for instance, and I start trying to evaluate their stuff because of their tragic time to put them in this
Right.
position. And most people don't realize that their stuff is not worth as much as they think it
Mhm.
is. For instance, going back to the fact I was telling you about my first wife who passed away on her deathbed, I was sitting there with her, and this is one of the biggest quotes I've ever gotten in my life.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at her, I said, "Baby, you can't go. I don't know what's heirlooms. I don't know what's important. I don't know anything," because she did all of that. I mean, I just
Mhm.
was trying to make a living. And I said, "I don't even know it's just stuff." And she looked at me and said, "Stuff is just stuff."
Stuff. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so the important thing that you got out of that was not that the fact your temperance, the fact that your family home did not sell as much was tempered by the fact that you were able to give somebody a home,
Right. Exactly.
a first time home. That's the feeling.
Right.
That's what as we grow older, that's what we need.
Mm.
That point is we need to get that point of where we are and what we can do to change others' lives.
Well, gosh, James, I thought we came to talk about pickleball, but we have really hit it all. I love it. Thanks so much for that. We're going to give a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of what keeps you going on your tough days and also a little bit about pickleball. So,
Pickleball.
you guys may not know this and probably don't, but you'll learn that what do they call you, James? The pickleball disciple, pickleball evangelist.
Pickleball
The evangelist, yes, because you're spreading the word about pickleball. So we will see you on the other side of this message.
Hey, my name is Jonathan Tullos. I'm the guy that's been editing this podcast. And if you like what you're hearing, I'd love to talk to you about what I can do for your nonprofit or your church or parachurch organization. I'm the founder of Strangely Warmed Media, a digital media consultancy that specializes in taking organizations to where they want to be in all aspects of digital media, including websites, podcasts, live streaming, and more. If you want to learn more, I invite you to visit my website at strangelywarmed.media. That's strangelywarmed.media, and learn about how Strangely Warmed Media can partner with you.
We're excited to be back now with James Renfroe. So, James, we've talked about a few things already, but you know what? Let's talk about what gets you up on the hard days. You've known some really great days, and you've known some hard days, like most of us if we've lived long enough. So, what gets you out of bed on the toughest days?
It's the idea that somebody out there is counting on me.
Mm.
There's somebody out there that needs me. I may not even know it yet, but I'll find it. And that's what gets me out and going every day. And then, as you said before the break, pickleball.
So, tell us about that. How did you even come to pickleball? So just a little bit of a disclaimer. So actually, James played pickleball at the place that I was on Tuesday. Sure, you'll talk about that, but he's so nice in this environment. But he's a little bit of a bully on the pickleball court. A little bit of a bully, mostly because I'm terrible and just cannot see. I'm relearning the same thing every time I go. But how did you get into it, and what is it that you like about it?
Sure. Well, it was toward the tail end of COVID, and somebody sent me a video, and my house was being worked on, and it was kind of deal where they were working on my bathroom.
Ugh.
So they had everything in my garage. So I was sitting on the tailgate in my garage one night because I couldn't get into my house. And of course, typical COVID, and we had everything in except the bathtub. So
Right.
the bathtub went from like, oh, you'll have it tomorrow. Oh,
Mhm.
you'll have it next week. Oh, you'll have it 10 days from now. Oh, maybe 2 months from
Yeah.
now. That kind of deal with it.
We'll never have bathtubs again.
Exactly. So somebody sent me a video of pickleball on my phone. I don't even remember who it was. And I'm sitting there watching it. And I'm like, I have a dead street that I actually live on. The street's actually not part of the regular subdivision. I was like, I could do that right here. So what I did is I went to Walmart and I found me a pickleball net. Turned out to be the wrong one, by the way. And I sat there and got chalk and marked it on the road. And some of my buddies came over because they couldn't do anything. We just started playing. Then we realized we had the baby net and the baby court for the little kids, the half net.
You're like, yeah, we're killing it.
Yeah, we're killing it. So we
Like
got the bigger net, and then it grew, and then more people in the neighborhood would come, and it got really, everybody knew about it. Of course, the big deal about pickleball, one of the complaints is the noise, because it does make a lot of noise when you hit that ball in the foul.
I love the noise.
I do too. I always say it sounds like a bunch of roofers, you know?
I love it.
So that grew, and then I got invited to go play at Ridgeland Tennis Center. And there was, come to find out, the pickleball community in the Jackson area is very new in the history of pickleball. I mean, pickleball's been around since the 60s.
Yeah. I remember playing because my daughter was like, pickleball is new. Who invented it? She was kind of saying something about it. And I was like, no. I remember playing pickleball in 7th grade gym class at Kate Griffin Junior High School.
Right. Because it was actually invented in Washington in the 60s by a guy that was in the House of Representatives. So that's why there's so many rules.
That's interesting.
So anyway, I heard about pickleball at Ridgeland Tennis Center, and it was some of my friends, older friends now, they were brand new back there. And then what happened was some of the guys had gone to Dallas, and they had picked it up and come back and brought it, and they were playing at the old Madison Ridgeland High School in the parking lot. And they were able over time to convince Ridgeland Tennis Center to put a court in there. And literally I went out there the first Monday night, and I met some wonderful friends of mine. They're friends of mine to this day, people like Cheryl Trong. And it was funny because they were like, "You're not any good. Maybe you need to go to the beginner night." And I was like, "What's beginner night?" Well, we really don't have it kind of that, but there's a guy named Mike Curley that taught at Madison Central High School for years, still teaches part-time government. And they're like, "Go see him." And I did. I found him. And me and my friends that were just starting, which we weren't very good, we started playing with him. And that was Tuesday night, beginner night. And that was many years ago, and the rest is history.
Yeah, a lot of people come out.
I started playing. We started getting more. I started recruiting more of my friends to come. Those friends recruited other friends. We formed group meetings and expanded. We put it on social media. We're really big in social media and inviting everybody.
Right.
Sadly, my dad was a minister, and I'll make this joke. He probably wouldn't think it's funny, but that's kind of how church should be.
Yeah.
We invite everybody, no matter who you are, no matter what socioeconomic, race, religion, whatever. We invite everybody because it's about community. Pickleball is a community. I mean, there's a meme going around going, "So you want to play pickleball? It's fun. Are you okay joining a cult?" You know, because it is about, because what you will hear at pickleball is laughter, lots and lots of laughter, lots of, as Dr. Monique just said, I'll become a bully on there. I'm coaching, I'm teaching, I'm pushing, but it's still with push of fun.
No, I believe that what James said to me this week was, "Have you had a stroke? Like, are you having a stroke right now?" Because I'll just forget the rules, or I'll be like, "What did I just? I don't remember." But I'm having fun.
And the whole idea is to make it play.
Yeah,
and it's grown, and it's grown more and more to where we have thousands now in the metro area.
Wow.
And Coach Mike's still out there on Tuesday nights. So I joke, he said he teaches the babies. Those
He's
people that
really
never played.
nice and very passionate. Yes.
And then I teach the toddlers. Those are the people that have learned the rules and are trying to get a little bit better. I am nowhere near some of the top level players around here. We've got guys out there like James Crosby, who teaches at Parnham Bridges, who's amazing.
Yeah.
We have a lot of players like him. Club over at Township has some phenomenal players. And you see these people out there playing. And the thing about pickleball is, first of all, people joke and say, "Oh, it's an old person's sport." Well, obviously they've not seen Annalee Waters and Ben Johns play.
It can be an older person's sport. It's
is
accessible.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. When it comes to the older person factor, the beauty of pickleball is I have taught people that are 8 years old, and we've had a student that was 90 years old. So you're talking, look at that age game.
Right.
There's very few games out there where a grandmother can play with her granddaughter.
Right.
And they can laugh and have fun. And think about it. If you're playing with a loved one and they make you mad, you can hit them with the ball.
Speaking of, I wasn't trying to ever do it, but I actually managed to get my husband Matt out there last week. So I'm
really?
It's really therapeutic. So it's a lot of fun. So what else are you learning in your broader life? I don't know if you've already hit on that, but what are the big things you're learning or learning about right now or want to learn?
One of the things I've learned, and somebody told me this in an interview very similar to this. I was like, "Why do you want to interview me?" And they were like, "Well, people." And I got to thinking about that. I do. And I do know a lot of people, and I want to know more people. And one of the things that I'm going to try to concentrate as I grow in my life is to really know people,
Mm.
know their life story, their backstory, what makes them who they are, their origin story.
Wow.
Everybody has an origin story. Think about Marvel Comics,
Yeah.
Batman. All of them have an origin story, and our origin story does make us who we are. It does not define who we are,
Right.
because many origin stories start out toxic or really
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
A lot of them do, unfortunately, but it's where you grow. And if you look at even like joking about the Batman, his origin story started out of violence, and look what he became. He became
Right.
Batman. So we all have an origin story. So you ask what I want to grow. I want to know people's origin story. What made them who they are? I joke in my real estate practice is I see a lot of people and I know a lot of people. On the other hand, I always joke when they come at the closing table, I said, you don't want me to remember you. Because usually if I remember you, it's a bad thing.
Yes.
But I do want to be able to do it in my day-to-day life to know who these people are. So things like at the pickleball courts, I've known people for years. I'll say, where do you work? What do you do? How many kids you have? You'd be surprised how many people like talking about themselves.
Right.
And they like hearing and someone embracing what they are. I have a good friend of mine that works with me, Natalie, that's a wonderful lady, and she does my real estate stuff. And we don't always agree, religious or political, a lot of things we don't agree. But she's really big on TikTok, and she had a thing where she's a minority African American, and she was talking about her children wanting to learn about African American history. I happened to see that. So one of the things I did is I bought them a series of children's books on African American history heroes.
Oh, wow.
And I gave that to her. And she said, we may not always agree, but it's nice to be heard.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that touched me.
That is touching. Yes, for sure. One of my kind of heroes, and I got to go to a writer's retreat that he put on, is Bob Goff. And he talks about just going through life being curious about other people, just approaching everybody instead of trying to defend your position and make your case, in whatever area. Just be curious. Like, how did you come to be here? How did you come to be? So that sounds a lot like what you're saying. That's pretty neat. Okay, so we're going to take one more quick break. And then when we come back, James is going to tell us 2 pieces of advice that he's learned that were helpful that we might be able to learn from. So we'll see you back in just a minute.
Are you an educator who gets to experience the joy and privilege of serving English learners at the classroom, school, or district level? We can help to ensure that your students are getting what they need and helping you to feel more equipped to serve them well. English Learners Engage is a Mississippi-based educational consulting company owned by Monique that provides professional development, in-classroom teacher coaching and modeling, student tutorials, and products focused on serving multilingual students. We also provide technical support. Dr. Henderson's 2 books, 31 Things Your English Learners Want You to Know, Lessons from the Classroom, along with a sequel, are quick, accessible reads, perfect for a school or district-wide book study, or for individual teachers. Each chapter is concise and clear, starting with a story about a specific student or group of students and ending with a quick tip and reflection question. Whether your school has 1 English learner who needs to build English proficiency or 1,000, EL Engage and Dr. Henderson can support you. Working together, we can take your English learners to the next level. Reach out today at Monique at EnglishLearnersEngage.com to see EL Engage's results and to get Monique and her team working for you.
Welcome back to Engaging with Monique, a podcast designed to inspire you to engage in your world in meaningful ways. So, James, let's talk a little bit about advice. What are your 2 favorites? That's a hard, probably choice. I've never actually taken this approach for myself, but what are 2 things that you want to kind of leave us with in terms of advice?
Well, 2 of them I've already mentioned, but I'll even throw in a third after that. But the one is where I said, my late wife said, stuff is just stuff. Don't get caught up in the small stuff. Don't get caught up in things that we think are important today will probably not that important tomorrow. The other thing is that what my father said, it's great to try to have a job where you can make a living and help. Always look to be the helping hand. One of our ministers that we had, that Monique and I had together, was Bruce Case. And Bruce used to say, go be the hands and feet of Christ.
Yes.
That's what I would probably leave everybody with, is go and be the hands and feet of Christ. Even if you're not a Christian, what it means by that is look for a way to help somebody today. And it could be little things, making a clerk smile by just saying thank you, maybe a little extra tip when you go out to dinner tonight. Just anything. Maybe just even bringing the trash guy a little water on a hot day, leaving something out for the mailman, things like that. If everybody goes out of their way to think, try to make life better for one person today, imagine what this world could be.
Ripple effect of that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
You've given me a lot to think about. As much as we hate it, our time here has come to an end, but don't worry, we'll be back again soon with another guest. In the meantime, check out the show notes and be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Tell a friend, and also check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Engaging with Monique. Thanks again, James, for sharing your wisdom with us. What a great time we've had together today.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending part of your day engaging with Monique. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, so you'll know when the next episode drops. Find our Facebook page for show notes and more. And don't forget to tell a friend about how much you love engaging with Monique.